Aliinga Besa.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the greatest show on earth, and it is on point. Today we have our panelists well seated, ready to debate the issues, national and international. As you know, we've been taking some international hate. We got hit this week with the news of Mr. Garcia being deported to the Republic of Liberia. It's a big news. We're going to discuss that in detail. This brings the so-called presidential project in FOIA into context. Are we seeing the development and the building of a correctional facility in FOIA, aka presidential project? These are just speculations because you know where they say where information is a deficit, superstition abound. So now it's coming into focus. Where are they going to keep the deportees? Where will Mr. Garcia be hosted? And is Mr. Garcia a one-time thing, or this is the beginning or more to come? We're going to delve into that. We're also going to look at what's happening next door to the Republic of Liberia in the Cote d'Ivoire. They just had an election. Let's look at the outcomes. They are talking about Ivorian in the diaspora voting. So why not us in Liberia? We're going to look at that as well. Later on, we're going to have our special guest, Mr. Thomas Kwimokpa. The son of the late General Kwimokpa will be here to discuss issues in Liberia and the internationals, especially the one in the Ivory Coast. For those of you who went through the trauma of the war, you had two major experiences. You either went into Guinea first, and then the Ivory Coast, and then later on Ghana. So most of you speak fluent French or conversational French. So what happens in the Ivory Coast affects you. We are talking about people crossing over from the Ivory Coast into the Liberian territories, especially Grand Gire, Burkinabes that are coming over. They are not coming over from Burkina Faso. Most of them are coming over from the Ivory Coast. So we have a lot of interplay here, and we're going to talk about what happened in our neck of the wood, the CMC. The USA president for the political party CMC abruptly resigned last night. We're going to delve into why that is. And what's next for the CMC, the United States? While we wait on our guests, let me welcome our panelists, our experts. I think Mr. Honorable Kumakpa is here. There he goes. Welcome, Honorable Kumakpa.
Thank you, Jerome. Hello to everybody.
Hello,
Let me introduce
Welcome, sir.
Let me introduce from left to right our diplomat, Honorable Jimmy Eastman. Your guest, Kumakpa, is here. Welcome, Chief.
I'm glad to be here. Welcome to the panel, Honorable Kumakpa.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And to my far right on the top is Aliu Kamara. He's one of our panelists, one of the oldest guys. When it comes to being on the panel, he's been here for a while. Mr. Kamara, our guest.
By the way, let me say, it's been a while, man. Let me just say, it was a great introduction. I like the way you lay the whole thing out. You know, I didn't hear any controversy, so you're not in trouble. But good having me.
It was not about you. I say greet our guests.
Oh yeah, Mr. Kumakpa, welcome to Focus on Liberia, the nation's premiere. And this is where you get the actual raw, authentic view of individuals with credibility, not just a mere sensationalism. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And from across the pond, from Great Britain, we have Dr. Fidel Booty. Dr. Booty, your guest.
Yes, Mr. Kumakpa, nice to see you again. We met back in 2018 in Monrovia.
Yes.
So looking forward to listening to your thoughts today. Don't mind Aliu, please. On this show, nobody minds him. So just let him know.
You see the man looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Across the railroad over there, the 51st state of the United States, Canada, we got Boyka Dukle. Boyka, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kamen. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to say welcome to Mr. Kumakpa. It's a pleasure to be in your company today.
And on the right, last but not the least, the progressive, the backup Matthew protege, J. Victor Namwe. Welcome, Victor, your guest.
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you for the welcome, sir. Mr. Kumakpa, welcome. It's good to have you. Let me also welcome our audience. Thanks for joining us. And I will follow Dr. Booty, Mr. Kumakpa, to forewarn you. Mr. Kamara here is the resident UP apologist. So just be prepared. He's going to push back.
Jerry, you see, didn't want to get started at Taco. Hey, see, man.
I see.
But it's good to have you here.
Thank you, guys. Do us a favor, share the show on your personal pages, in your groups. I know most of you are watching football game. I mean, it's football, but as we look, the United States women and Portugal, it's a tough game going on. The U.S. and Portugal are tied 1-1. But here we are. We have been talking about issues in the Republic. We've been seeing a lot of stuff going on. We had a hearing debacle. We talk about presidential appointment, and you go for a hearing, and we saw the debacle this week or last week in the House of Senate. This brings us to another major concern for the Republic of Liberia. people are now saying, well, we should not be too strong when it comes to confirmation hearing. Don't hold people down. The woman may have lied on the stand that she has a master's degree in social work and a minor in in urban development. And then she changed that. So folks are saying, don't be too critical. But why don't we just forget about the confirmation hearing and hire folks? The reason you present your CV is to tell the folks that you are prepared, well prepared for this job. And you get there and you cannot defend. It's like a thesis. When you write your thesis and dissertation, you have to defend it. If you can't defend it, they say you got to go and come back. Honorable Eastman, we have our guest here. I don't know if you want to delve into the local issues, but I think he really wanted to discuss what's going on in the neck of our wood in the Ivory Coast. So before we go there, let's do a little appetizer here. Let's go around before we come to that. Honorable Eastman, let me start with you. I come to your company, I want a job. I bring my CV. I tell you that this is a job I can do. I'm an IT specialist. I can work at LTA. And then you get there, you start asking me questions. Are you ready for this job? What will you do your first day? What's your vision to carry this company forward? And all of a sudden, I draw a blank and say, I'm qualified, but I'm not good at presenting.
Anyway, listen, I think you're referring to the interview in which Madame Fatima was answering questions to the senators for her confirmation hearing. You know, that the whole hearing process to me is almost meaningless. And I say that because once you are part of this of the UP train, you automatically would get in. So I'm not sure why they do the hearing at all. It's not like the only person I've ever seen the Senate turn down is when they turned down Mbudiki, the Nigerian who was nominated to be head of the election commission. And where we found out not only was he not even a regular Liberian citizen by nationalization, but he had several different discrepancies in his resume, and so they turned him down. But everyone else, they don't turn them down. They don't ask critical questions that will really will be able to bring out the goodness or the ability, the capability of the candidate or the nominee. And so I find it as a waste of time. And so what I did notice in that interview was it was as if Fatima felt like none of them could tell her no in the first place. So and it showed in her body language, in her response, as if, look, y'all, you know y'all can't tell me no, so just let's hurry up with this thing and get it over. So I looked at it and I said, why do we do this? Is it just symbolic again? I think we have fallen to symbolism instead of using the platforms, the institutions to actually do what they were supposed to do. And the proper vetting has to be done if we're going to get back on track. But what I see is not authentic.
Okay, Mr. Kamara,
Yes,
according to the diplomat here, this is not how it's supposed to be done. This is a charade went bad.
I've been knowing Mr. Ismail for several years now. I don't know him to be a body language analyst or something like that. They're determined he can tell from the woman's body language, and the body was telling him, well, y'all can't do nothing to me anyway, y'all will pass me anyway. But anyway, yeah, there were, I think, Fatima, one of her issues have always been she overtalks. I don't know whether that's confidence, but what remains a fact is that she does have a master's degree. I can't understand where the whole urban development thing came in. She had no business with that, completely no business with that. I think she was just trying to make herself strong, but I think it was a lie. Okay. Talking about going for a master's degree and having a minor, I don't know how she made that kind of mistake, but people always have handlers. And I think, an elderly man once told me, he said, if you are smarter, if you are smart.
Wasn't urban development the real job that she went to interview for? What do you mean you didn't know how that came in? That was what she went to defend.
Well, because that's not her area.
But that's what she was appointed to.
But Mr. No dialogue. Let me finish. Okay, she has a master's in this social services thing. She has a genuine master's in there. I mean, you don't have to force in your resume that you went to school also for urban development when you didn't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why she put that in there, because she doesn't need to have that in order to be an administrator. To be an administrator, you don't have to specifically be qualified in a particular field. You just need to have the right people working with you. And I think whoever handle her, like I was saying before, if you were smarter than your friends, then they don't need to be your friends. There is no way here that I can be more knowledgeable than Mr. Eastman. When Mr. Eastman was talking to his first girlfriend in 1968, I was not even born. You understand what I'm saying? So what I can get from him is more than what he.
You don't know when you were born, so start lying.
But why I get you tell what I'm talking? Why I get you tell what I'm talking? So what I can get from Mr. Eastman is way more than what Mr. Eastman can get. And I told her this thing. You need serious tutorial. That was weeks before her confirmation hearing. She just dodged it. So, but what I can tell you is, I hope this doesn't determine whether she's confirmed or not. But either way, if she's not, it was her fault, and she is. Bravo.
Dr. Booty, when I'm counseling the young folks here, when they're going for a job interview, the first thing I tell them is, your dress code. Be as modest as you can be. Stick with blue, gray, dark, stuff like that. And second, do a research on the company you are interviewing from. Know their mission, their vision, how long they've been in business, what they tend to do. Know a little thing about them just in case they ask you, why they say you want to work for us. So all of those things, you do them as preparation when you get there. And the next question is going to be, this job you want, what is your vision for what you want to do, where you want to take us? You should have an idea. Say, you know what, I'm an IT specialist. I've been in IT, and I can bring this. I can bring. But when they ask her, what is your vision plan? She said she had none. I mean, that to me, that's like a interview killer.
Well, there are a few things that we need to try and address. I think Ali needs to stop trying to be different, because he said that he was very objective, right, in his assessment of the situation. He said that she didn't listen to advice to prepare better for the hearing. He said that I think she lied about her a certain part of her credential, and that's not. I'm not used to that. I'm used to him defending anything UP, even if he has to lie. So please stay in your lane. Don't start changing. Get
the man credit for being authentic on this topic.
Mr. Gamer, what we're saying here is this lady was not prepared, right? Before I come onto the show, I prepare. I know how to engage with Mr. Eastman. I know how to engage with Mr. Nangbe. I finished preparing for Aliyu, then he kind of changed. But anyway, let's focus on the matter at hand here. Because it's throwing me off my game, and I don't like it. I don't agree, right, with Mr. Eastman entirely. I understand where he's coming from, that most people who get sent to the legislature will or tend to get confirmed, right? the Senate should their duty is to advise and consent with the appointment that the president has sent. And in this case, this lady, again, like Ali said, and I'm shocked that I'm agreeing with him. She didn't prepare, right? She went to this thing thinking, like Mr. Eastman just suggested, oh man, in Liberia, once the president nominates you, you will get a job. So I do not need to prepare. It doesn't look good on this president. It doesn't look good on the party. It doesn't look good on her as an individual, right? Because at the end of the day, she has gone there and made herself a subject of conversation. Now we're having the conversation about her simply because she went to an interview for a job and did not prepare. Nobody goes to a job interview without preparing for that. Having said that, I think I disagree with Mr. Kamara. Yes, I'm back now. I disagree with Mr. Kamara on this point that she's an administrator, so she doesn't have to have expertise in that. That's not true. She has to be good at people management. She has to be good at presentation in front of a group of experts or senior officials or colleagues. Because if you're going to manage or direct as an administrator any function, you have to give reports, and most of these can be verbal to your senior leadership. And if you can't sit before a group of senior leaders and compose yourself and say something in a coherent manner, then you don't need to be even put forward for opportunities like this. It is a shame that we are thinking of appointments in government as nil. Once the president appoints you, it's nil. You get the job. But I think, for her case, without saying much more on it, she was ill prepared. I don't think she should be disqualified. I think if she is willing to admit, like her coach, Mr. Kamara, admitted that she lied and that she made a mistake by lying, and she asked for forgiveness. I'm a very forgiving person, and I will be happy for her to go back and get a do-over before at least being confirmed.
Great. Let me go to Victor. Victor, I have a very good relationship with the city here. And, every time we go do building permit, I go to the urban planning area. And they have a group of folks. And when I look across, we have the urban planner has a degree in landscaping, architecture, road development, you name it, engineers. They got all of those things. They got people specialized in transportation, that urban development, code enforcement, all of these. And it's a different task. But for you to come from a whole different discipline and want to go look at landscaping, let's take landscaping for example, the entire city of Liberia does not have landscaping. So the urban development, that's your job, to come up with how to develop the city, to make it beautiful and all of these. And then you from a social work background and you say, I have a minor, but you have worked your entire life in social work. Your take on this issue?
Well, yes. I mean, the minister designate, the interview is something to talk about, but my concern really is, why was she ever given this task? What was the vetting that went into appointing her to this position? I mean, it's clear she's well educated, she's disciplined in a different area where I think she is much needed than at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. I mean, she is a mental health expert. I understand these things because that's what my wife does. It is a very, very challenging task, and it is very much in demand. I mean, look at the streets of Liberia, and you will tell that we badly need mental health experts. Why don't they send her over there so that, where she'll be more meaningful and more helpful than sending her to a place that she is obviously ill prepared for? That's one. Two, she came to the Senate with the perception that the Senate confirmation is a sham, and we all know that. Somebody already pointed out how many people have been denied by the Senate because of either lack of appropriate qualification or experience. I
Cooper
mean,
Cry.
Who?
Cooper Cry.
Cooper Cry is a minister in the government. So
Yeah,
what's
but
the
you were
difference?
appointed justice minister before.
Yeah, but you are still confirmed.
I thought you just said not to be interrupted. Why are you interrupting me?
Now you know. Go ahead.
Cooper Cry was withdrawn from justice because people said that he was corrupt, not because he
Yeah,
went to the Senate. Mr. Ali, now you're back on your track. Thank you.
yeah. He was conflicted, but so she came obviously unprepared. I mean, quite honestly, I had to go over the weekend and watch some of the clips, and I cringed, because I met Fatima before. I've watched her perform on several platforms. She's a very educated and very, very talented, very smart lady. But she really came to this interview unprepared, I think, because she was not expecting anything. She just came, and show up and look nice on camera and go and take her job. I think that's what she expected. She didn't understand the function for which she was being nominated. Even where she works now, she does not understand her role at the city corporation. She has been a member, a board member at City Hall. She didn't understand why she was there. She didn't know, the limits of her function there. She didn't know the budget. So it just tells you how seriously we take government. And crying it all up, she calls herself the president's daughter. So I think the president has a certain degree of familiarity with this lady. He knows who she is. He knows her qualifications. And to have nominated her, I think that's where the problem really is. I'm not going to really, beat on Fatima too much, because I think the beginning of the assignment is where the problem is. This is the typical example of taking a round peg and putting it in a square hole. What did we expect? This is exactly what I think we should have expected. And so, I hope, and think she will be confirmed, and then she will go to the internal affairs, and show up to work maybe once a week or something like that, and get
Thank you very much. Honorable Dugley, real quick, so we'll go to our guest here. But this one, the free time method passed mark, and I like the way Mr. Aliu Kamara disarmed Dr. Budi. He was coming here for Aliu, but Aliu disarmed him, and he know how to deal with Aliu. He got no plan B. Your take on the confirmation?
Oh boy, Mr. Gaiman, this one, my take on it is that this, for me, in my opinion, it reflects more on the government than it is on Fatima herself as an individual. And because I think, look, like you said, I did some research last night because I anticipated that this topic was going to come up. Look, at my university where I work, we have a department there called Urban and Inner City Studies. As a matter of fact, my wife was one of the first graduates from that program. My wife got her first degree in Urban and Inner City. The degree is called Urban and Inner City Studies. And so when I was doing that research in that urban department, it encompasses a lot of areas. Some has to do with beautification, gentrification, zoning, and all sort of things. Mostly technical when it comes to the urban part of it. It also has, a component where, you deal with community development as part of the urban development because of the community that are living now in the urban area. So Fatima comes with a lot of talent and a lot of knowledge and expertise in a particular area. I'm not sure why they are not using her talent and her expertise to the appropriate places that she can make an impact. And that's why I said I think this reflects more on the government than Fatima. Now, with Fatima as a person, I think it's been said clearly here. It was clear that she wasn't prepared when she came to that confirmation hearing. And I don't know if anybody saw when the guy asked her, "What is government?" And her response to define government, I was just like, "Oh, maybe, and so she was with city council for some time.
That is an official of the government. Then you want to find you defending the government. Can you really define government?
Can I define government?
Yes.
Formed by the people.
Your people.
Yes.
And the government.
The government is formed and by the Liberian people who serve the people, ensure that the people establish. So yes, that's the government.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just laughable, and so for me, I think if she can just come back and say she misspoke and apologize, she will get the job. And I think Fatima, as a person, she can do a good job, and I just don't think that the urban department is where she can make a meaningful impact. There are other places that is badly needed, that she's badly needed at, and so the government didn't do her justice by nominating her for this position, because it was clear anyone who has been to graduate school knows that. That's why I don't know about other places, but I can tell you, in my graduate school, I had 27 courses. I did 27 courses, and then after that, I have to write my thesis. That's it. It's a concentrated study, focused on your area of specialty, no minor whatsoever. I don't know, maybe in America they have some school that has minor in math. I don't know, but I know in Canada here, it is. I mean, so in my opinion, I think she misspoke, and she can just go back and apologize. I mean, eventually we know she's going to get confirmed anyways, because the confirmation process itself, to me, has no meaning, because the confirmation is there as a check to see if the candidate being put forward, he or she is competent and qualified for the position he or she has been nominated to. But our Senate confirmation does not take any of those aspects into account, but rather the president and how deep the pocket is when when the candidate gets to them. And so in the case of Fatima, I think she can still do a good job, even though urban development is not her area of expertise, and I don't think it's fair when we just dwell entirely on that aspect, because look, for Liberia or for Monrovia, as we know it, I mean, a lot of things can be done by people who are not specialized in that area. And so Monrovia is not as complex as people might think it is. It's just about bad governance, bad management, and people being misplaced in areas that they don't have expertise. So again, I will fault the government more than I will fault Fatima. Fatima misspoke, maybe because of I don't know if you want to say it was a condescending attitude she had with the senators. So I don't think we should give it more than it deserves. She misspoke, and I think she can still. And we all on the panel here, we've all ascertained the fact that she's highly qualified in her area of expertise. She's well spoken in that area. And so if that is the case, then I think she should have been nominated for a place that they can make a better use of her talent, but since eventually she's going to get confirmed, then what's the point? So the confirmation has no meaning in terms of doing what they are actually supposed to be doing, as we all know here. As long as the nomination is from up there, he or she is going to get confirmed. So I think Fatima should just come out and tell the Liberian people she's sorry, or the Senate she's sorry, she misspoke. That wasn't her intention, which we know it wasn't her intention, and move on.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, 10 seconds.
Yes.
A couple of things. The lawmaker who asked that question, what is government? That lawmaker was
a couple of things.
The lawmaker who asked that question to that woman, what is government? That was disrespectful. I think it was intended to denigrate her. And I think he should be called out for that. The next thing is the government, when not Fatima will hold the government responsible. I've been hired in a position before I knew I couldn't handle it. I told the manager, you got to find something else. I can't do that job. You don't have to take it. You're grown. And the next thing when we say, oh, you're supposed to put, they got place where you can put, show me where. You have health and social welfare. Ellen King and split it from health and social welfare to the Ministry of Health by itself. You got something they call gender ministry. I don't even know what that nonsense is. You got something they call gender ministry. So where do you put her now? You already got gender ministry.
There are many places she can go. Many places.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to introduce our guest. He can choose to chime in. He's a politician. He not want to chime in on there. That's fine. But let me welcome Honorable Anthony Kumakwa. Anthony Kumakwa, for those who have never met you, who don't know you, could you please introduce yourself and let's get down to business.
Well, I'm Anthony J. Kumakwa, the second son of General Thomas Kumakwa. Even though I didn't come to want to talk too much about happenings in Liberia today, but I think it's important that we all, chip in a little bit.
Good.
But there's you have to go from the beginning to have an understanding and or appreciation for where we are today. And after the inauguration of our president, His Excellency Jose Yuman Boakai, something very strange happened relative to appointment or nomination of people at different government entities. It is my understanding that we have 3 separate branches of government with their own constitutionally defined responsibilities. We have the legislators that are responsible to make laws and also confirm, that is with respect to the Senate, confirm nominees of the executive. Strangely, senators were the ones on vetting committee for potential nominees of the president. So the people who supposed to go confirm nominees were the ones vetting nominees. Mm-hmm. What then was the essence of confirmation hearing? And so I do not know the sister Fatima. I will wish her all the best. I wish the Senate will have some consideration because there have been a lot of people who have gone there performing worse and have been confirmed. But when senators are on the committee that will vet potential nominees or nominees of the executive branch, it means the person, by virtue of you being placed on that paper, that your name will be announced that you've been nominated, you already confirmed. Because the people that are going to confirm you that they don't want to finish vetting you already. So I didn't have an opportunity to listen to the entire hearing, but just judging from the little clip that Jerome played, it shows to me our sister went with some kind of chip on her shoulders at the Senate hearing. Right? If anything, there was this sense of arrogance towards senators, right? And in Liberia, oftentimes when people find themselves closer to the powers that be, they believe they are untouchable. Whatever they want, they get. So there's complete disregard for whatever there is. So all I'm saying is, you can have senators vetting nominees of the president, and you expect them to be confirming the very nominees that they vetted. So in the first place, that whole process for me was just off. But then again, when you're in a society where you get plenty, oh God, no more people in Liberia, Now, what can happen? Because some of us who did not support the rescue government in that election and supported President Weah are seen as people with no brains in the country. And those who supported the rescue government are considered the most educated. That is the sort of mindset we have in Liberia. But public service is a privilege. Not everybody will have an opportunity to serve their country, even though a lot of people want to serve their country. We need to be respectful of leaders. Senators must be seen as senators. When you go for Senate hearing, you must exhibit the highest standard of respect because you are going to be performing a responsibility that requires trust and respect. So after saying all of those things, I hope the Senate will confirm the dear sister for her to go there. But for me, the whole Senate thing ain't making, it's not adding up to me. Because when you go and vet somebody to be nominated by the president, then the person come to you for you to confirm them. But you did a confirmation yesterday. So all the things are coming happen now. Flow show. So that's where the problem came from. In my mind, senators had no reason to be on vetting committee of those who were eventually nominated for different positions in government. So it undermined every process. Well, it's a conflict of interest. All I want, like my brother, Fidel sitting here. I'm a senator today. I got the president here. My brother Aliyu down there. I said, look, chief, I got my brother, he's very good, what they call, Fidel's passed me his resume. Senator, see the man resume, everything is Once the president agreed that Fidel will be on a list of nominees, Fidel already confirmed. So that's what we're saying. So we hope our sister can understand that the next time, she will maybe be appointed to another position after having this one. When she go in front of the senator, whether they ask you crazy question, just be within yourself and respond the best way you can respond with no degree of arrogance or chip on your shoulders, all that. Not necessary. That would be my take on it.
Thank you. Now let's go to one of the reasons I call you here. You have quite some understanding of the politics in the Ivory Coast and what's happening also in Guinea. In 3.5 years is going to be happening in Liberia. That's election politics. Talk to us about what's happening in the Ivory Coast, because from what I'm reading here, Ivory Coast did something that everybody needs to look at. It's an experiment. Hopefully it works out. Is that Ivorians in the diaspora are voting in this election. Seriously. And the number is huge. Your take on the Ivorian politics and the elections?
So, during our civil crisis in Liberia, I had an opportunity to travel to the Ivory Coast, where I was a young man. I'd always say to people, the first time I put my hand in the thing, brother Aliyu say, our big brother Eastman did 1968. The first time I put my hand in our operation, it was in Ivory Coast. And I think everybody understand what I'm saying, right? The first time I put my hand in our operation was in the Ivory Coast. So
only Nangwe not understand what you're saying. You're looking confused.
Nangwe is not even here and you're picking on him.
Even while I'm taking a break, you still attacking me.
So there's that love for that country, right?
Dr. Fidel is the cause, yeah.
I'm also from the Dan ethnic group, right? The Dan ethnic group refers to as the Gio people in Liberia, right? And then when you cross the border into Ivory Coast, the very Dan people are referred to as the Yakuba, right? So we have that cultural similarities and all that. But generally, I love the country. And so I took specific interest into the Ivorian politics as far back as when Ofe Boigny passed away. I was very small at the time, but I took interest in that. When Houphouët Boigny passed away in 1993, he had at the time Alassane Ouattara. Alassane Ouattara was a Burkinabe at the time, right? And he was serving as prime minister. And so when Houphouët died, the constitution at the time was that the president of the parliament, right? That is they call him the president of the assembly, the National Assembly, right? Or like our speaker here had to assume the role of the president. Now, Ouattara drew his support from mostly the northern part of Ivory Coast, right? Like where you have the Boaké, the Korogo, the Ferki, all those areas in the north where he drew his support base from. And so there was at the time something called Ivory, where 100% Ivorian. So Ouattara was excluded from the elections in 1995 because the constitution allowed for 5-year terms. So Ouattara was excluded in 1995. One of the toughest opposition at the time in the country was Laurent Gbagbo. Gbagbo opted not to contest in the elections because he believed all the processes or all the ingredients to have a free, fair, and transparent election did not exist. So he opted not to be in the elections. President Henri Konan Bedie at the time had to bring in somebody to legitimize the election. So he brought in a guy called Francis Woodier. Francis Woodier contested the election. Obviously, Konan Bedie won. And so tension was in the country. That tension remained until December 24th, 1999, when the former general who is now deceased, Guy
Robert Gay,
in a military coup. When Guy Robert seized power in a military coup, he promised to bring back inclusiveness to the Ivorian society, to have everybody involved and all that kind of stuff. But he still maintained that Ouattara was not an Ivorian and therefore he cannot contest in the presidential elections. And so Konan Bedie, who he ousted, was out of the country for obvious reasons. And so he had an election, and the only person in terms of big name politician that went into the elections with him was Laurent Gbagbo. And that election was in 2000. So when Laurent Gbagbo contested that election, Laurent Gbagbo won the elections. Okay, Guy Robert decided he wanted to rig, and Laurent Gbagbo went on and called on the young patriots of Ivory Coast to take onto the street to claim what is rightfully theirs because they won the election and the military ruler wanted to impose himself. So over 4-5 million Ivorians took to the streets of Abidjan and marched on the presidential palace. The security forces there tried to fire at them, but they saw that the guys were not going back. They were determined. Guy Robert had to flee. Gbagbo was installed. Ouattara said that election was not a fair election. And so he was calling on Gbagbo to do an inclusive election for Ouattara now to be in it. And so he ordered his his supporters to take to the streets. There was massive demonstration and all that kind of stuff happening. Within about a year of Gbagbo's rule, there was a coup d'etat on Laurent Gbagbo. I think you guys will remember that whole situation resulted into the killing of then military ruler Guy Robert, who comes from the Yakuba ethnic group. Okay, the whole Ma, Danane, that whole side area, that region of Africa is where he comes from. At the time, as a young man, we all had some kind of sympathy for Alassane Ouattara. For me, I don't like exclusion. for somebody to have risen to the level of prime minister in the country and you're still saying he's not an Ivorian, I didn't appreciate that, right? I felt it was important to include everybody for the sake of unity in the country. And so Gay Robert was killed, Gbagbo remained the president. Less than a year later, a full-fledged rebellion started. And then there were several peace conferences. So Gbagbo's first 5 years of presidency was marked by civil war. The country was split into two. The Force Nouvelle had the northern part of the country. Gbagbo was controlling the south and western part of the country and all that kind of stuff for years. The French came in, talk, peace talk, and all that. But Laurent Gbagbo has always been a pan-Africanist. For him, the French should not determine what happens in Ivory Coast. The French can be a partner of Ivory Coast, but they cannot be the ones calling the shots for a sovereign country like Ivory Coast. That has been his position. And because of that, Paris has seen him as somebody opposing to the French. And they have gone on to support anything that went against Laurent Gbagbo. And so you had a civil war for many years. I'm just trying to summarize the whole thing because it's pretty long. Gbagbo had to, make peace. And the way he had to do that to bring the fighting forces down for them to have an election in 2010 was granting Alassane Ouattara his full citizenship status as an Ivorian, all right? So that he gets involved in the Ivorian political field and they can all go to election so the Ivorian people can express their will. And so in 2010, they had the elections. By all accounts, Laurent Gbagbo won the elections. But because like our situation we had in Liberia, we had warring faction, and then when they have peace deal, the different warring group will have different positions in government and all that kind of thing. So was the makeup of the Ivorian government. At the elections commission there, the head of the election commission was somebody from Ouattara's camp. The head of the constitutional court in Ivory Coast was somebody loyal to, a friend of Laurent Gbagbo. But according to the Ivorian constitution at the time, the constitutional court has the final ruling on who wins the presidential elections. And so Ouattara got who at the they call it the CIE, the Independent Election Commissions there, declared that Ouattara had won the election. Other people of the commission said, but the way we work here is when you bring results from different regions, we got to go through it and verify all the numbers compared to the numbers from the field. So we have not done this, and you announcing that you got this amount of vote in this place, this amount of vote in that place. We don't believe this is accurate. The Constitution, so the Election Commission declared Ouattara president, winner of the election. The Constitutional Council declared Laurent Gbagbo the winner of the elections. So there was a stalemate. The Ouattara was in Gulf Hotel. He was some kind of program they had there about inauguration. Gbagbo, on the other hand, was also inaugurated. And then that fighting started. What they call the post-election violence of 2010, 2011 in Ivory Coast. A lot of people died, just as a lot of people died in the over 7 years of war that they fought before that 2010 elections. So finally, the French managed some kind of way and got a resolution from the United Nations saying that Laurent Gbagbo were going to kill all the ethnic group that loyal to Ouattara in a place called Abobo, a big community in Abidjan. And so the UN passed a resolution to stop that from happening. And the French took advantage of that resolution and dislodged Laurent Gbagbo to the extent they bombarded the presidential palace in Abidjan, and the forces loyal to Alassane Ouattara captured him on April 11, 2011. Gbagbo was captured. Ouattara was then inaugurated. He became president. Gbagbo served prison term for 8 months in a city called Korogo in the north of Ivory Coast. And then the government of Ivory Coast transferred Laurent Gbagbo to The Hague for crimes against humanity. Interestingly, Gbagbo was there for even 7 to 10 years. And he was acquitted on all counts against him. Meanwhile, during this time, Ouattara served his first term, the first 5 years. Before the end, I think then he entered into his second year. During his second term, Ouattara decided to modify the constitution. Most of the opposition opposed the modification because they understood the pretext underneath that modification. However, the government justice minister at the time went to the legislators and informed them that on no certain term, when this new constitution is passed, will a president go beyond the constitutionally recognized 2 terms? But on the record in front of the National Assembly of the country, meaning the coming into existence of this constitution will not erase the clause in the previous constitution that say a president will be elected once and can be elected for the second and final time. He can go 2 terms. So the entirety of the Ivorian people who participated in the referendum did so, knowing fully well that even if we pass this particular clause in this new constitution, President Ouattara will not go for the 3rd term. In addition, Ouattara took to State of the Union address, or State of the Union address, and narrated the same thing that his justice minister said, that he would not be going for 3rd term. The passage of this new constitution does not in any way give him anything to go for the 3rd term. So obviously the government organized the referendum. The referendum passed. Because prior to that referendum passing, the age limit for the president in Ivory Coast was 70. That referendum also removed the age limit for the president of Ivory Coast, which allowed Ouattara to go. 2020 came around. At the time, Laurent Gbagbo, now acquitted of all his charges, right? He's acquitted, but the government of Ivory Coast refused to give him his diplomatic passport to travel back home to Ivory Coast, for fear that his coming to Ivory Coast during an election year, it will raise tension. So Gbagbo is in Belgium. Ouattara decided to stick to his promise to the Ivorian people that he would not contest because the constitution does not allow him. However, he handpicked at the time his prime minister, the late Amadou Soro.
Yes.
Oh, not Soro. Amadou.
Mr. Kame, you need to mute yourself. Sorry, Mr. Kumba, you can go ahead.
So he handpicked his prime minister at the time, another guy from the north, from a city called Korogo, who was Amadou Gonkolo-Bali. Amadou Gonkolo-Bali had an underlying medical issue, though, that a lot of people didn't know. 3 months to I think 2 or 3 months to the election in 2020, Amadou Gonkolo-Bali died. Amadou Gonkolo-Bali died. Whatever the causes was of his death, nobody knows. Suddenly, President Ouattara said, "Oh, the men are chose to represent our party not die. Therefore, I'm appealing to the Ivorian people to please allow me to represent my party. Former President Kona Bedie, Afi N'Guessan, who was Prime Minister under Laurent Gbagbo, who was now the head of FPI, the Front Populaire Ivoirien, the party of Laurent Gbagbo at the time, they all refused. All the candidates that should have been in the election, that were allowed to go in the elections, they all say it is unconstitutional for Ouattara to go because he is violating aspects of our constitution that call for only 2 terms you can go for as a president. The government decided to go into the PDCI, the party of the founding father of Ivory Coast, the late Philippe Houphouët-Boigny, collected one of the militants, one of the key supporters within the PDCI, and made him an independent presidential candidate just to validate the 2020 election. Because Kona Bedie, who was the president of the PDCI, boycotted. Afi N'Guessan boycotted. All the other key political actors boycotted the election because they said Ouattara was now violating the Ivorian constitution because the constitution did not allow him to go for a 3rd term. Ouattara begged the people, my people, the men are selected, die. The boss said, but you get plenty of people in your party, you can select and you can go. Ouattara forced it and went, a lot of people died. The official number from the government was that about 90-something% died in the election violence in 2020 because the people boycotted the election, just like what you saw happening yesterday in the country, mostly in the south and the western part of the country. They have the opposition. Ouattara forced it and went for the 3rd term. Went for the 3rd term, came back and told the people they went Finina, Mahena Issa. After the election, they gave Laurent Gbagbo his diplomatic passport. Gbagbo moved back to Ivory Coast. Gbagbo going back to Ivory Coast was like a rupture. Those of you who are in Monrovia when Charles Taylor was leaving from his side to come to Monrovia, I think it was 1995. That kind of welcome that he received, that the kind of thing that the Ivorian people did for Laurent Gbagbo. So right there, it sent chill in the spines of the government people. The next day, they say Gbagbo has been convicted of a crime. While he was in Europe, they were judging him. While he was in the Hague, they were judging him. They say he blocked the bank from making payment for Sonny, and they condemned him to 20 years in prison. So Gbagbo came to the country without problem on him. But because Ouattara had manipulated his party, Gbagbo decided to create a new political party called the PPACI. Gbagbo created the party because he's a force in the country. PPACI now became the main opposition. Gbagbo militant told him, we want you to go for the presidency. Gbagbo waited for over 1 year. When he got information that all the things that are happening here, Ouattara coming go for the 4th term, Gbagbo said, but then I will go for the 4th term. I will enter the presidential race to make sure this man does not go for the 4th term because he's damaging our country, he's damaging the constitution of our country. Ouattara all in the world and the people he finished now. He coming look after his grandchildren. He not in 18 years again. Everything finished. By June this year, Ouattara party went for a convention. And the people in the party center say, Ouattara, that only you will get, that only you depending on. You got to go for the 4th term. The new constitution here, it gave you the right to go for the 4th term because we're in the 3rd republic now. Ouattara said, I will think about it. in August, Ouattara announced that he will be contesting the election. Meanwhile, Laurent Gbagbo.
It's going August?
Yes. Meanwhile, Laurent Gbagbo, Afi N'Guessan,
Anthony, I think I got a similar right now. Man.
Yeah, PDC now a new face called Tijam Tiam, the guy who representing Houphouët-Boigny party. What I look at for long is tell me if I keep Gbagbo, Tijam Tiam, or the Afi N'Guessan many election, they will be or Bawe. So what did they do? the election commission said they were doing a voter registration. When they went to the constitutional court say Laurent Gbagbo, the candidate say cannot be accepted because he couldn't meet a certain percentage of voter registrants. Therefore, he's not qualified. The Yanti are not qualified. All the PB opposition people not qualified. But he went and handpicked 4 individuals that he said these people are the ones who meet all the requirements to be in the election. So the tension started again. Massive demonstration here and there. And then where we are today is a country that after all these years is still heavily divided on ethnic grounds. And so my disappointment is that Alassane Ouattara has failed to unite Ivory Coast after all these years. If you look at the outcome of this election, you will see that the places people voted yesterday are largely in the northern part of the country. Having ruled the country for 15 years, I came from a brutal civil war. He still has not managed to reconcile that country. And you know when problem is in Ivory Coast, you can't excuse Liberia. So to come back to our country, the need for real reconciliation in Liberia. What's happening in our country, Jerome? The politics is getting so hateful in Liberia. It's almost like we've now forgotten where we've come from as a country. And so we need to focus on what makes Liberia better, what improves the lives of our Liberian people. So that's just a summary of what you see happening in Ivory Coast. It's not surprising to me the Guinean man finished doing referendum. He said $100,000 to register for the presidential election. 100,000 United States dollars in the new referendum. You got to have it. You got to deposit that before you register for presidential election. And if any Bani, the 2 top opposition leaders in the country. So obviously, the election that they coming have in December this year, Doumbouya will run because the new referendum they did 2 Sundays ago allows him to contest. And when you see these things happening, don't think the country is far from that. I will stop right there.
Wow.
Yeah, but what's that Burkinabe man? You're not Ivorian.
Well, he's the president of Africa.
Jimmy, you have all people. Why would you say that?
He just said,
look, I went to school in Ivory Coast, and I can tell you when it started way back.
Why would he say that?
Mr. Dube, why shouldn't he say that? Give me a chance.
The reason we're saying it because Aliyu is a Sierra Leonean. We want him to do
who is that? No, wait. Mr. Jimmy, don't just pass by Ismail that. Ask him who qualifies. Who is an Ivorian under the Ivorian law?
Born in Ivory Coast from Ivorian mother and Ivorian father. That's
what law say Ivory Coast.
Excuse me?
And the man explaining the law to you. You listening?
No, the man not explaining the law. Because the man was prime minister. Why did they make him prime minister of a country and he wasn't a prime?
That man was the chief of staff to Huflo. So he wanted he put a man there to be running.
So there were no qualified Ivorian except Burkinabe.
That's who he trusted. But you know those
Aliyu. You can ask questions. President and prime minister are 2 different things.
But you gotta be a citizen of a country to be that country's prime minister.
Who told you that? The question here is, Aliyu wants to know. Honorable Jimmy is saying, Isma is saying that Gbagbo is not.
No, not Gbagbo.
Excuse me, Ouattara. Ouattara is not an Ivorian, and maybe a pretext to him having less interest in reconciliation. I mean, something he wanted. Then Aliyu want to know who is an Ivorian according to the Constitution.
So the Constitution, not opinion.
No, I'll say yes.
So the Ivorian people, I think one of the issues that Ouattara is entrenching himself into power and probably maybe will die because he's not healthy right now. He's 84 years old. He doesn't move correctly and all that is fear for persecution. Because the Ivorians are saying the fact that Gbagbo Laurent went to The Hague and was acquitted of all the charges, then who initiated the war in Ivory Coast? we want that person to be persecuted as well. And when you go deep into the stuff, most of the key generals of the rebel have gone on record for calling the name of President Ouattara as their key sponsor. All right? And so the Ivorian people are saying, we want those responsible for damaging our country and killing people in this country that brought war into this country persecuted. Who are those that are supposed to be persecuted? Are those that are calling the shots in the country? Will they want to relinquish that with that thing hanging over them? I don't think so. That is the reason why you see all of these things happening. But to be honest with you, yesterday election, before yesterday, one of the internet station in Abidjan, pro Ouattara, mistakenly put out the provisional result of the election day before yesterday night with percentages from all the regions, putting Ouattara into, I think it is something or 90% win. Immediately they took it down. The next thing, the election commissioner guy went there and started cussing them. Oh, you gotta be professional. What they call it? Yo, now we'll make sure you don't enter any of the voting places again to report on the election. What they call. So a lot of things happening. For Babo Laurent, he said, it's a civilian coup. It is not an election, and he supports anyone who contests against that. That was what the statement he made, I think, on the 22nd. All right. And so the situation in Ivory Coast is such that the French are doing everything to maintain their control of that country. Because remember, there is this regional bloc called IAS that includes the Côte d'Ivoire, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. 3 of those 4 countries have left the French, except for Ivory Coast, right? And so the French see the Ivorian as the last bastion in Francophone West Africa, because Ouattara is there maintaining the guy from Togo, Faure Gnassingbé, who went and modified the constitution to make him the king in that country for lifetime after he and his father were are there for more than 50 years.
One minute, Mr. Kuyamba.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, according to the Ivorian constitution, who is an Ivorian?
Well, you have to have either your parents from Ivory Coast, right? Ouattara claimed his mother is from Ivory Coast. But now this is the thing. Before Houphouët Boigny brought Ouattara was working with the IMF for the Burkinabe. He was working for the government of the Burkinabe with the IMF.
But he was still an Ivorian, right?
That's not correct.
The men are Burkinabe.
All right?
That's not correct. He is not a Burkinabe.
It doesn't work that way.
The men are
He is not a Burkinabe.
So, real quick, and you guys, I see where Jimmy is, and I see where this man is, because for those of you who have the historical notes of Liberia, President Tubman will bring foreign folks from like Nigeria, Togo.
Name some of them that were working as foreign minister.
There you go. So the reason was that it was a matter of trust, right? He didn't trust.
Yeah, name some of them, Mr. Jimmy.
Listen, if you know
name
them,
them.
you name them. Fidel, you had a question? We're gonna
Mr. Gamer, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case in Ivory Coast.
I had a question.
Okay, Victor, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And let me acknowledge Mr. Tao, and I hope you will stay over there and don't interrupt my question I'm gonna ask. Mr. Kurwa, could you kind of throw a little bit of light on the ECOWAS, involvement in the region? You touched on briefly what is happening in, say, Togo, what is happening in, say, Guinea. Many people are now concluding that ECOWAS is just a paper tiger. Do you think we should look to ECOWAS to help stabilize this Ivory country. And before you let me just assure our friends here with busy typing like Wallo. Whatever happens in the Ivory Coast affects Liberia. I don't understand why people don't understand that. We need to understand what is happening to the Ivory Coast, to Sierra Leone, to Guinea, because all of those impact Liberia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nambo. So this is the very concern I have with the ECOWAS. All right. If you go to ECOWAS will tell you they don't get involved in, country politics, or what they call. But it will get involved when stuff go out of control and people start to kill each other, right? So I'm saying you should be able to prevent a crisis before it happens, right? But don't wait when the thing happens, when people are dying, then you get into it. Some of these things about the whole referendum and constitutional changes, all the where the problem's coming from. And ECOWAS got to be firm to telling the whole thing, looking at President Club, the ECOWAS thing. All the president want to protect the other friend presidents, right? They don't want to look them in the eyes and tell them, don't do this. All right? Look what happened in Guinea. This guy took over from, Alpha Conde. Alpha Conde, yeah, Joseph, you wanted to ask?
No, when you're done.
Oh, okay.
I just have my hand so Jerome can recognize.
Okay. Doumbouya took over from Alpha Conde. What did Alpha Conde do? Alpha Conde forced a referendum which would have allowed him for the third and fourth, fifth, whatever term. Céline Diallo, the key opposition leader in Guinea, won the election in 2020. But the election was rigged from him because while Alpha Conde was the incumbent president who had already gone 2 terms. Doumbouya came in with a military coup that was supported by the whole opposition body. That they think the men they were not correct, so we're coming to face the system to bring the team back, civilian rule, have your proper election and all that. He got in within a few months, started to entrench himself into office. The next thing you look, banning opposition party, banning any form of protest. The next thing, referendum just went on in Guinea 2 Sundays ago. And the outcome of the referendum is that the guy who is the current military ruler, Doumbouya, is allowed to contest in that when he puts his hand up. Obviously, he's going to do that.
We're going to do that city in Liberia, so Joseph Boy can be president for life.
So you see,
Madingo and Diallo that Fuller, right?
Yeah, Diallo is the Fuller guy.
It's there. No, it is there. Underneath it, it's a tribal thing.
It's not underneath. It's there.
Look, Mr. Gayman.
Yeah. No,
I'm
coming to you. I'm coming to you. Let's go to Taiwo. Taiwo hand was up. Mr. Taiwo, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, but Kweba will not learn gender. Kweba is fascinated with that story. Let Joseph go ahead.
Listen, Kweba learn so Joseph can come on.
So ECOWAS, in my mind, need to prevent crisis. They need to get involved in preventing crisis before the crisis happen, because there will be some crises that when they happen, to control them, and Ivory Coast is like a melting pot of West Africa. It is the country in West Africa that all West Africans want to live in. That's Ivory Coast, right? You don't know how many Liberians died in Ivory Coast during the Civil War. Why? Because the Gbagbo group believe that most of the rebels that entered the country came from Liberia. All right. So they started targeting Liberians who were living privately in Ivory Coast and knew nothing about what was going on. A lot of Liberians died. My first cousin died in Abidjan. He was killed because they believed that he was part of the missionary. I mean, the soldiers from Liberia that went with the rebels to attack Cote d'Ivoire. So my brother saying when we're talking somebody, we're just talking in isolation. We're talking.
But it's true though. It's true. Liberians were fighting in Ivory Coast. It's true.
Right? That's why we're talking it.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because the Ivorian crown were being killed, and the crown from Liberia wanted to fight for the brother.
You see.
You see what's happening? So this is it's good. Elvis, let Sam Wallow listen to it. So that's why we say problem in Cote d'Ivoire. It's a problem for the whole West Africa. Do you know the population of Ghanaians are in Ivory Coast? Do you know the population of Nigerians are in Ivory
I'm
Coast?
sorry, Mr. Kuma. Can you touch on briefly as you're leading the recent brouhaha between Liberia and Guinea, where it was being reported that the gentleman here who was spirited out of here was actually a representative of Dumbuya, and he was here, Conde, and he was here trying to surreptitiously train and go and remove Dumbuya from Guinea. Are you aware of any of that?
That's the rumors.
Okay.
But now I will take you back to his lawyer's position on the matter. I think his lawyer is the former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, Kabina Jane.
The one and only Kabina.
Yeah, Kabina Jane said, the government took his client illegally from the country and handed him over to a regime that has killed him. All right, so I want to leave it at that. But others in rumors, yeah.
Tao.
Thank you very much.
Hi to my fellow panelists and hi to Mr. Kurongwa. You touch on a lot of stuff of the Ivorian issue, but there is something that will always leave out until we can crystallize this stuff, until we can actually internalize this as a foundation that we stand on when we're discussing these things, so that we project from this position. We're always going to make this mistake. This political system that we have is always going to be divisive. It's how it is designed. Because in the divisiveness, it's weak, it is easily manipulated from outside, and then it is exploited. You mentioned the whole Ivorian stuff. I followed this whole case. It's not that they acquitted Babu because he didn't do anything. They knew he didn't do anything. But it was to remove him. Remember, you touched on something. Jimmy touched on something. Ouattara them and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf them were brought here to the U.S. They worked at the IMF and the World Bank. They were just positioned to be brought back. It's just that Ellen won much. They put her in power much earlier because of the power vacuum based on the war that was created. They tried many times with Ouattara. Here is an election dispute where there is a constitutional court or where they're supposed to deal with this stuff. This was not just the French. I followed this. The same point that you're making. The Americans were involved. ECOWAS was actually solicited, led by Nigeria, and they were moving in with troops. Under the guise of that, the French, supported by the Americans, they overthrew. But when they kidnapped him, they knew that he was not guilty of anything. So if you want to look at what is happening in Ivory Coast, let's just say leave it without the external involvement. The people in Africa were going to resolve this stuff. It would have been resolved much earlier. But because of the external involvement, remember, Babu and the French had already started having issues. He wanted to close that base. Closing that base, as somebody pointed out here, pretty much pushed the French out. I lived in Ivory Coast before. It will push them completely out. They were not going to allow that. So you see this kind of involvement that they exacerbate whatever problem, because we keep saying tribalism. Man, we lived together as these tribes. We didn't have these issues. The Bede man and the Yakoba man can live together in each other era. We didn't have these issues. The wedge that you see is driven by this political system that are given to us. It's the same thing in Liberia. So we need to really understand this. Why the people? So Babu was brought out of there. He was just kidnapped, kept in the Hague for all this time, and then he was brought back. But here it is. Where is the West? Where is America? Where is France? All of their democracy that they talk about, where is it? The same Babu that they didn't want him to serve his term, or at least contest a dispute.
So all the fighting that took place in Abidjan, Babu knew nothing about all that fighting?
No, I didn't say about the fight.
Well, you say he didn't do anything.
But Joseph made a good point, though.
You say he didn't do anything.
Listen now, the fighting was never going to get to that level hadn't it been for the French.
What are you talking about, Tower? You're talking about hundreds of people dead. You're talking about fighting. We're not going to do anything. People were dying in the streets of Abidjan. I live in the Abidjan too. You live in the Abidjan. We know how to say this.
Listen, please.
No, I want you to tell me what Babu did.
No, but Tower is right, man.
West, you can't just wait. This is
Tower is right.
Come on, you good, man? What is it red about?
Let him land. Let him land.
Bible was kidnapped. He did nothing. He would have deserved to say. And I'm
That was
saying
right. That was right. I
people
mean,
were
You still
dying,
have
and
the
they
chance
have
for
to
you to
bring the
go
war
and
to an
serve in
end.
the government in Liberia as you are
But
hustling.
Victor,
And let's
he
see
has
what you
been
can
he's
provide.
been consistent. He's been consistent. He has said
So
if we didn't get a Western system, that it wouldn't have happened anyway. Go ahead, land.
Yeah, so we're looking at this stuff. It is uniform all across the area. Then let's look at the same thing happening in Liberia. That is why we are at war. Then let's look at the Guinea issue that Kumpa touched on. I followed this. While Condi was trying to change the constitution, but what he didn't point out, or at least what is not mentioned, which I follow very closely, is the Chinese have come in and signed an agreement with the Condi government for mineral rights. The Americans were not going to really allow that, along with the French. If you look, this is how the HPS that you're seeing here, it was already positioned. This guy, the Secretary of State, was grilled in U.S. Congress here a week before that coup. The Domora was at the U.S. Embassy with AFRICOM, where they were celebrating, and they asked him, you say that guy, General Lennon, they say, he said, core values, are these the kind of values? Here is this guy with our AFRICOM generals throwing a party a week before the president got overthrown. Did we have anything to do with it? He says, Senator, all I can tell you is we have to protect our interests in American core values. So now you see all of the referendum, all the stuff that is passing. Where are the Americans? Where is the democracy that when term limits are being removed? You see? So they don't believe in this stuff. It is a means by which they manipulate. If the government in power, coup went in Guinea. Where is the threat that the military guys should be removed in 2020? Nothing. But in Burkina Faso, because they are not allowing the exploitation, what happened? There is threat that they need democracy there. So you see the whole thing. So I just want us to be able to understand that this is the underlying stuff. If we can conceptualize this, it don't mean we don't hold our domestic actors responsible. But what it does is it reduces the kind of bickering amongst ourselves. We look at the common enemy, it reduces things to a smaller scale, and it can be easily solved. Instead of throwing stones at each other, fighting each other, and we don't see the guy that is pulling the strings of the puppets.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
No, Ducle. After Ducle, then Elvis, then we'll come back.
Yeah,
to you.
you know,
Mr. I want you to ask question.
Yeah,
Mr. Gaiman, the situation in Ivory Coast, as narrated by our brother Mr. Koyonkwa, is exactly what we experience in Liberia. And to sit here and say Alassane Ouattara is not an Ivorian, I would expect somebody on the street, the layman who doesn't know anything, who doesn't read and write, I expect that statement from somebody like that. We are all intellectual here in our own right. Ofoe died, and he left an unresolved problem that was on his hand. And the reason why Alassane Ouattara became the prime minister, in Ofoe mind, that was a way of solving the problem, the divide between the northerners, which are the northerners, they are predominantly Muslims, and most of them they are descendants of migrant workers that came to the Ivory Coast from Mali, from Burkina Faso, you name it, from around the neighboring countries. And so Alassane Ouattara's father was a migrant worker. His mother is an Ivorian. He was born in Ivory Coast. When Alassane Ouattara got a scholarship to go to study in the United States, he got a scholarship as a Burkinabe because it was an opportunity. How many Liberians are here who have different names and different last names because they got the opportunity to resettle in America? That was the opportunity they had. Same thing with Ouattara. Ouattara went to the United States. When he got his degree, he came back to Ivory Coast. He didn't go back to Burkina Faso. He could have gone to Burkina Faso, but it was an opportunity he took advantage of, and he did what he did. He came back to Ivory Coast, and with the political divide that was going on, Ofoe thought, appointing him, as a matter of fact, according to the constitution of Ivory Coast, the prime minister position is the equivalent to the vice president. Ivory Coast doesn't have vice president in their constitution. So the prime minister is usually next to the president, who runs the day-to-day affairs of the government, and he is next to the president. So his powers, his position is equivalent to vice president of the nation. And so when Ofe died and Henry Kona Bidie became, and even that, Henry Kona Bidie also helped to manipulate the constitution. They all did. They manipulated the constitution so that Alassane Ouattara will have no standing. So that's when they brought this so-called Ivorianity, the so-called Ivorian, you got to be Ivorian, that nonsense. And so when Henry Kona Bidie was overthrown by
Robert Gui.
Gay Robert comes from Gay Robert is a crown guy. Get it? They call it in Africa.
No, he's down. Yakuba down.
Okay. I know him to be a Ngere from my sources. He came from a very small tribe, and he too tried to follow the pattern that he inherited. Everybody tried to manipulate the system for their benefit. Meanwhile, the divide. Look,
but did he represent Burkina Faso at the bank?
No, Ivory Coast. That's what I'm saying to you. You were representing Ivory Coast. He was there as an Ivorian. Even though he said it, he said it as a Burkina Bay.
You said the status he went with is an Burkina Bay, but then he represented Ivory Coast. That don't make sense.
No. He went to the United States to study as a Burkina Bay. That's what I said. As a Burkina Bay.
If I come to study in the UK as a Liberian and I'm working in a UK international,
no. After he studied, he came back to Ivory Coast. After he studied, he came back to Ivory Coast, and then he got a job with the World Bank. He went to the World Bank as Ivorian.
But he claimed his Burkina Bay citizenship. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. In essence, he's a Burkina Bay as a citizen Ivorian.
Okay.
So he's both.
Maurice,
he's both.
Okay. Let me say this.
Right? So I mean, he's both. He's Ivorian and he's Burkina Bay. Like I said.
So you're admitting now the man is Burkina Bay.
Guys, Elvis, it's Elvis time. Elvis, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gaiman. Look, I think we have to.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Lance.
Anyway, it's okay. That's fine.
We'll come back to
American and I'm Liberian at the same time. What's wrong with it?
Yeah. Look, I think there was a point in time, Mr. Kamara, where you was not a Liberian because we didn't have dual citizenship. You're only an American. But let me say this: we have to be appreciative of what President Weah did in Liberia when he conceded. A lot of people said.
Kamara began Liberian 2 years ago.
A lot of people say, "Oh, you had no other, option." But we see in our region that a lot of presidents don't want to give up power. They don't want to give up power. So what we have in Liberia, we should be proud of it, even though we're kind of behind economically and in other aspects in our democracy, But I think the fact that we've had successive elections, we should be proud of ourselves. But this thing that people are talking about, Alassane Ouattara, there's one thing that a lot of people are missing here. This guy was very close friends and even schoolmates with the former French president called Francois Hollande. He's very close with that guy. And he manipulated the sending French troops into the Ivory Coast to get Laurent Gbagbo out of there. And let's not be fooled. We're very close. I think Mr. Konkwa knows. He's from that region. His people are from there. My people are from there too. We have Liberians, especially in the southeastern, the northern region, Nimba and Garcia. We are very intertwined, while people in the Ivory Coast. So like you rightfully said, Laurent Gbagbo base is based in the Grand West, in the Big West, where you have the Cruz and the Mende people, like the Ban, the Dan, the Yakuba, the Geres, the Goros, all those different groups who are a mixture of Kru and Mende, just like what we have in Liberia from the southeast, going down to Nimba and so forth. That's how they are in the Ivory Coast, and that's Laurent Gbagbo base. So when they was trying to overthrow him, there was a crown guy or Gere guy in Ivory Coast called Vincent Bailly. He was one of his strong militant guys, and he had helped people like Yaya Nimle and those model guys who was trying to come in Liberia and take Charles Taylor out. So when they needed help, they were recruiting from Grand Jita and so forth to come and help because they knew they were strong fighters. So what the Ouattara group did, they started killing innocent people, who were from those groups, mixing them up with the Dam people and the Ivorian crimes, killing them in Abidjan, even though their brothers were fighting way in the western part of the country. So my point here is, like Mr. Douglas rightfully said, Avorite was a policy that was implemented by Henry Conan Bleded, who wanted to, disbar Ouattara from running in the election. And he brought about that policy because Ouattara, he said, most of his ancestry came from Burkina Faso. His father, his entire father's side was Burkinabe. His mother her mother was Ivorian, but her father also was Burkinabe. So he was talking about having both your parents being Ivorian and your grandparents. And Ouattara only had one set of grandparents who were Ivorian, along with his mother, who was half Ivorian, half Burkinabe. So that issue, that issue was an issue that Gbagbo also was trying to, further that policy. But the reality is that Ouattara came in there, and many people thought after he struggled for so long to get the presidency, he will serve his 2 terms and leave. But instead, the man who had been advocating, fighting against what he called the excesses of Gbagbo, started to do the same thing. And even his wife, his Algerian French wife, is very close to the French, quote unquote, oligarchy. She has a lot of power. So this guy married a white, Algerian, French woman, and she's the first lady in Ivory Coast. So it's an embarrassment, really. Ivory Coast is a big country. It's a country that has a lot of different tribes and in a melting pot of Africa. And what's happening there is an embarrassment, and we should speak against it. And we should also beat our chest that we're budding democracy with all of our issues. We can hand over power to each other and have peace after the election. So I won't take too much time. I just want to give my 2 cents on it.
Before I go to Dr. Budi, Honorable Kumokwa, do you think there are a lot of, I'm hearing a lot of stuff, even some text here, that they believe that Joseph Boakai will most likely follow this lead, this format?
No way.
I mean, I wouldn't speak for His Excellency. He's the current president. The constitution of our country allows him to go for his second and final term. If he believes he has the energy, the zest to go for the presidency in 2029, that is completely his prerogative. As to whether he will want to amend the constitution to go for 3rd, 4th, 5th term, assuming he goes for the second term and wins, right? That's a discussion for that time. But in our dispensation, I doubt very much anybody who becomes president in Liberia will want to think about perpetuating his stay in power. All right. Is it not possible that somebody could attempt doing it? Yes, somebody could attempt doing it, but whether they will succeed is another thing. But then again, you have to understand the nature of human beings. Now, one of the things Mr. Dukley said was in Ivory Coast, prior to this new constitution that was adopted in 2016, after the president was the president of the Assemblée Nationale, right? The president of the legislature for them, right? He wasn't the prime minister. Hence, Ouattara coming in with this new constitution that then allows him to appoint a vice president. All right. So now you have the vice presidential thing that the president will appoint and all that kind of thing, right? So we in a country where the few handful of people that find themselves around presidents are normally the ones that are involved in giving wrong advice to presidents, right? Because some of these people in 1 year, 2 years, they see themselves super millionaires simply because they are around the president. They're getting stuff happening. They wouldn't want to see themselves leaving those roles. So you can almost equate that to what's happening in Ivory Coast right now. Because just looking at President Ouattara, he's not the Ouattara that we all knew years ago. He's frail, 84 years old. He's not moving well. I mean, one of the renowned French journalists, the last time Nobel, I've forgotten his last name, reported that on President Ouattara campaign trail, he had over 7 doctors and nurses from France that with him. This gone campaign thing they were on for the last
And
7.
still want to be president.
All right, all right, and all that. So you go to Cameroon, see what's happening in Cameroon. It looks like the opposition guy has won, but the constitutional court got to declare who wins the election. I think they're doing that tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And you all know they're going to announce this 94-year-old man who can't even walk.
Yeah.
All right. You know they're going to announce him to be president, and another probably going to come from him.
Thank you. Before I go to Dr. Booty,
you keep me waiting.
You had your hand up.
You keep me waiting today. No. Yes, I've got a question.
I have to end with Kamara and Eastman so we can go because he's here. He's going to Liberia. I know he got some project he want to talk about, so we can talk. Go ahead.
I've got a question, but I knew as soon as Mr. Kwongba said Pan-Africanist that Joseph Tao were going to join the show. I knew as soon as the word came out, I was going to say, don't say it. As soon as
Dr. Moody, stop it. Dr. Moody, stop it.
As soon as he heard out, and now I know anytime we come on the show and we're missing Tao, just say something Pan-Africanist, then he will appear. That's
Dr. Moody, stop it.
But no, my question, Mr. Kwongba, is something that Mr. Gamer alluded to earlier that is taking place in Ivory Coast, right? This opportunity for diasporan Ivorians to vote. Do you think that is something that Liberia should be looking at? And how practical do you think it could be for Liberia?
I know the dual citizenship thing was passed, so I don't know if the government is working or has worked on the modalities for that to happen. But listen, I would not be surprised if the powers that be in Liberia prevent that from happening. I would not be surprised if they play politics for that to not happen, because obviously the diaspora Liberian, right? The whole EULA, from the inception of EULA to date, EULA was seen as an active opposition to the governments of Liberia over the years, right? So you will find more opposition to our governments in Liberia within the diaspora community, all right? And so if the government opens that, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here now, but I would not be surprised if that is actually what will happen, right? If the government opens the thing, majority of the vote that will be coming from the diaspora, from Liberia in the diaspora, will be against the government, right? Because we see what's happening here with the taxes that we are giving. We see the reward of the taxes that the people take from us all of the time, right? But it's the opposite in our country, and there are a lot of policy issues that we don't agree with. There are a lot of things that will pit us against the current administration. But that it is generally understood that at least 60-70% of the diaspora Liberian will vote against the sitting government at the time. On the basis of that, I'm afraid that there might be some that you got to saying did the bad thing happening in that. I would not be surprised if that did happen there, because if you look at the USA, for example, the United States accounts for more than 65% of Liberians in the diaspora, right? You should be having a representation at the national legislature. 1 or 2 or 3, you should be having that, because diaspora Liberians are largely responsible for economic activities in Liberia. So we are meaningful contributors to Liberia's economy. And we have little to say about happenings in the country. But I would not be surprised if that didn't enter that thing and they just keep going to the next election and next election and next election and next election and next election. But it should be something that's automatic. We got dual citizenship now. The modality is supposed to be in place already. 2029, people will be voting.
Thank you. Let me go to Honorable Eastman.
Yeah, I say, Brother Kumba, you rarely entrenched in the Ivory Coast business. I see. Well, you did mention the French, and when I was looking at that whole episode, I saw the French hands in it a lot, and just like you stated in the end that this looked like the last stronghold, the last bastion for the French. And how do you think then are they going to try to sway this election? Because as long as Ouattara is there, he's pro-French. How do you think they're going to?
The election.
He already won the election.
Is over. The election is over. Alassane Ouattara will be winning.
Billions conceded.
More than 80-90% of the vote, he will be winning. So the election was a farce in the first place. I'm being honest with you here because I followed everything. But what is most important is the level of rejection. Ivorians in their numbers boycotted the elections as they did in 2020. And so you have a president who, again, has been elected largely by people from the north.
Yeah.
When you assume power in a country that has experienced civil war, that's so divided, your energy and time should be spent on bringing people together.
Yeah.
Well, what the 15 years of his leadership has done, it has created more divide to the extent in the security apparatus of Ivory Coast. The top officials in the security apparatus in Ivory Coast are all people from the north.
Yeah. More
than 85% of his government key positions are all people from the north.
Yes.
Okay. Ivorians from other groupings believe they are like strangers in their own country. On the 9th of August, the opposition staged a rally called Enough is Enough on August 9. More than 3 million Ivorians took to the streets of Abidjan. What did the government do? The government rejected the candidates of those over 3 million Ivorian people that took to the street in support of their candidates. Rejected them from participating in the election. When you do that, do you expect to have a unified country? When you look at more than 3, 4, 5 million of your people and say, to hell with you, the people that you want support will not be in the election. You won't be inside, you not be inside, I have been there, go in my vote for me. And when they vote for me, don't worry, we'll make sure I get 90% of the election. With that kind of attitude, you're not calling for anything good about our country. I can tell you, on the outside, you go to Abidjan. Yeah, Abidjan looks very beautiful. But outside of Abidjan, it's a completely different country. The hate, the animosity in our country is very, very high. I'm telling you.
Wow. It sounds like Lofa to me. Everybody from Lofa, everything from Lofa, everything from Lofa, everything going to Lofa. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying we the same Wallo. We're looking at similarities here.
Well, I thought Valley from Cape Town, from Lofa.
No, you're from Massa.
Valley from
Massa. Valley, go ahead. That's a Massa man there.
All right. So you know what I'm wondering is, Quimba from Ivory Coast, Murray from Ivory Coast, Mr. Ismail from Alabama, but why I can't be from Sierra Leone? That's what I don't understand.
Where Ismail from?
Alabama. Well, I can't be from Sierra Leone. What's the big deal?
I thought you said Mr. Ismail from Alibaba. I thought you said Alibaba.
It's Alabama.
The man from Alabama, the man that's something up. But look, it's a very short answer to this thing. I don't know why, for some reason, Liberian leaders procrastinate. This is a low-hanging fruit, like I always tell people. To digitize, at one time when I saw the Minister of Commerce at the time, Moda, buy $100,000, something like almost $100,000 vehicle just for he alone, that $100,000 could have digitized the entire Commerce Ministry. But he still buy it for himself. That kind of stuff still goes on till today. You know, you see a former Senate pro tem will buy
Why are you
$100,000.
telling us? Isn't that your government that's in the mansion right now?
The man
No, we're
trying
having
to change.
discussion here.
Why are you telling
Please,
us?
let the
Did
man
it also happen at Labor Ministry? You know about it?
Leader man.
Yeah,
Man,
Okay.
Ali, don't mind then talk your own. Ali, talk your
No,
own.
they didn't put me in one corner. I would not stay in that corner. Okay, I don't belong in one single corner.
That's
right. You know, so a former senator pro tem will buy $100,000 car. I said, I've been working as a senator for all the year. I couldn't buy $100,000 car. Meanwhile, there are no city buses. How did you accumulate $100,000 to save and buy your own something, even though we're giving you a vehicle every 3 years? So, you know, the whole Liberia thing, when you think about it sometimes, you can just get ahead and say, you know what, screw them. But we can't stop talking. It's easy to do this thing. Create a website that is seriously protected. It is governed by cyber security technicians and all of that. And somebody can just go online, open, register yourself, put your birth certificate. I hope the birth certificates can actually be identified by the health ministry over there in Liberia when somebody go to upload it. I hope so, because sometimes they just put numbers on it and they just don't even know what kind of number they put on it. You know, so it's a whole lot of stuff, man. But let's pray and keep our fingers crossed that something like that happen. It'll be a good thing.
Thank you.
Jerome.
Yeah, don't mind. I made that government boom. You headed to Liberia soon. Talk to us about your mission to Liberia.
Oh, I've had an opportunity to contest in elections in Liberia now. I contested in 2023, actually. I didn't win the representative election in my district, district number 3, Nimba County, where you have Kampley, Yekipa.
But Prince doesn't say you vibe Madingo Mel. See, that's good, man.
I know, right?
Mama, you can't let your friends talk. But y'all mute them, Ali, man, please.
So I contested in that elections, and I came second in the elections. The plan was to go back early last year to do my thank you tour. Then we postponed it to October of last year. Then when I went to the country, as we're preparing now, because we then found a new date, the 29th, the weekend of November 29 last year, Senator Johnson died. And then it was not politically expedient to go on our appreciation tour when he died. So we had to be there, participate in some of the programs. And then I came back to the States. So I'm going this year to actually do that. That will be the reason, one of the reasons I will be in Liberia. So I will be happy to be there. Senator Johnson said many things in Liberia. 99% of what he said were not correct. You know that. But he was who he was.
Including the current vote that he gave us, that too was not correct.
Who he said you were?
No, Senator Johnson had a way of Senator Johnson was arguably one of Liberia's best propagandists. I can tell you that for a fact. That old man will make up story as if when you don't know, you can say that you go eat somebody raw.
I was celebrating when the message of my different message, hey, my brother,
it wasn't that, but for him, he had, so some of the reason you see us talking about the Africa issue and to our brother Sam Wallow in the place, just to educate you a little bit, right? Despite the 14 years of civil carnage we had in Liberia, we are still very divided in Liberia on ethnic lines. Some of the opposition to Musa Beliti's movement in Liberia, in other counties, including Nimba County, is because Musa the Maningo man. I'm being straight up with you today.
Yep.
All the opinion polls that were done in my district pointed to the fact that we're winning the elections with big margin. And so I have a name called Jirate. So my full name is
Okay. That's a cool name.
Drate Wanye Krumpa. The Drate name was given to me by the friend of my father, the late J. Nicholas Odier. That J in his name and Drate.
Nick.
Those of you who are crew will understand that Drate means everything finished. So what Senator Johnson and my opponent would do is to associate that name with the Mandingo ethnic group. But that
Jabate, yeah, you're mixing it with Bad Jabate.
But that you will make me a Mandingo man. Because they understood that there are a lot of our people who still believe Mandingos are not worthy of being representative or senator or anything good in Liberia.
Yep.
So once you do that, the poor people who don't really understand will go against me. And they did that successfully. And so Senator Johnson had no more weapon in his armory to fight me politically because I was winning. He resorted to that.
Man, can you double dose? The man not just say Madingo, the man say Madingo back. Man, put two together.
Yeah.
Your Senator Johnson was very close to your father.
That's the irony about the whole thing. He even named his son after my father. But his dealings were far from. So look, like I said, peace be to his ashes. Anthony Kurumpa will not succeed in life and see the son or daughter of Senator Johnson and pass them by. That's not who I am. Senator Johnson did whatever he had to do. He's no longer here. I'm one of those who have been encouraging folks to ensure that his school in Ganta, is kept. The name is maintained for his legacy. I don't wish any evil against him. He did what he had to do politically. He was not compelled to support me politically. But we're here to ensure that Liberia is a better place. I'm proud to be a Liberian man. All right. Whatever ethnic grouping you want to associate me with in Liberia, I am part of all the tribes in Liberia because I'm a Liberian man. I don't see tribe or I see Liberian people. And that tribe will build Liberia, the Liberian people will build Liberia. So
thank you.
That was what it was. And Senator Johnson was that, the very senator who said George Weah was the best thing ever to happen in Liberia, or the very man who came and said George Weah the worst thing. So that's who he was, and we all doing for that. But hey, our papa is gone now, so peace be to your ashes.
Great, guys. We have come to the end of our show. We're going to take 2 minutes each to do. Let's stick with this now. We got to go. Let me start with the last in, first out. I think the last was Tao, Tao?
No, I was the last in.
Okay. Morris, last in, first out. Go ahead, young man.
All right. Thank you. Look, I missed most of the show, but, just like when you say Pan-Africanist 3 times, there's a title can appear. When you talk about Ivory Coast, I can jump on and come on the show too. So I had to come in and get and chime in on that issue. But look, I keep saying this, and I would echo it again. We should be proud of ourselves, and I think President Boyka and his current government should really be looking at what's going on in our region, in our continent as a whole. And hopefully, come 2029, if the election goes against them, they should gracefully, concede and step out. It's always good to respect your constitution and respect your democracy, even if you disagree with the results. And I think President Boyka, at his late age, will hopefully do the same if things, don't go his way or his party's way in 2029. But another thing I want to say here is, I think you guys were touching on that. I was watching the show earlier. You guys touched on the Fatima issue, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the issue with her, again, it's like, what is that saying? Putting square peg in round holes. This is our president who is just trying to give this woman a job, who is a qualified woman in a different, a field. And senators themselves are baffled at the fact that they nominated her for a job that she wasn't best suited for, and they were actually telling her, won't you be better situated here if we put you so? So my point is the president has to put people in the right position so that he can have a successful government. And he's just putting people there just so they can be a part of his government rather than putting them in a position where they can maximize their effectiveness, in doing the work of the Liberian people. So for me, I just think President Boyka need to reevaluate. If he wants to change people, make sure it's the most qualified person that has the requisite expertise to occupy those positions. If not, you're setting yourself up for failure, and at large, you're setting the country up for failure too. But thank you for having me on. I didn't have much more to say because I came late. Thank you.
Okay, we got a caller for Mr. Kuokwa. Your name and where you calling from?
Okay, my name is Elvani Mame, and I called to commend you guys on the show for the discussion. Like the West African sub-region is very volatile, and what happens in Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, or Guinea, directly or indirectly affects Liberia. We should remember that. The water left from Liberia.
I wonder Wallo is listening. I hope he is.
So these are things that we should take into serious consideration. The war that happened in Sierra Leone came from Liberia. But one of the things I wanted to make sure that I point out is Mr. Kuyonka said something about how people discriminate against Mandingos or Muslims. And that is something that it has to be a topic for a day. Because this is something that we don't discuss often, but I experienced that at the University of Liberia when I was contesting for the chairmanship of the Student Unification Party. My name is Elvani D. Mame. Those guys, because my name was Mame and they knew I was so smart and I could have won anybody easily, the guy who was contesting against me, who was a weakling, what they did strategically at the time, I was not informed about the way to discuss issue and combat negativity and propaganda. I went and ignored it. These guys call me a Mandingo man, they call me a Muslim man. And at the level of the University of Liberia, that's the highest district society in our country. To that point, we had educated people who we expect to know better, calling me a Mandingo man, calling me a Muslim, only because my name is Mame. In fact, they transform my name, they say Mohammed. The man is not Mame. Mohammed. And the fact that his name is Mohammed, he's a Mandingo man. In fact, not only that he's a Mandingo man, all Mandingos are Muslims. The fact that he's a Mandingo, he's a Muslim, and that's something we need to delineate. Not all Mandingos are Muslims. And not all
Muslims are Mandingo.
Some of them got BSc, some of them doing a master. I mean, this is how our country considers Mandingo people and Muslim people. And if you just sit there and keep quiet, because I want to move forward, I couldn't go tell the people, say, oh, I'm not Mandingo man. And the guys who are Mandingo in the party will say, oh, but the guy, he ain't ready for leadership. So I just said, no, I'm a soup man, I'm a Liberian, I'm a student of the university, so I'm not here to discriminate. I'm not going to say whether I'm Mandingo or not. I'm not going to say whether I'm a Muslim or not, because I need Muslim vote, I need Mandingo vote. Mind you, that thing is going to fund Musa ability. And maybe if Musa ability was any other tribe, I can tell you Musa ability in this particular fight he's fighting right now, he can easily become president. The only thing standing between Musa and the presidency, besides that other corruption allegation, is the fact that he's a Mandingo and he's a Muslim. Any other person without charisma and the collective effort he is making right now, he would have been president easily. But this is one of Liberia's problems, and we have to discuss it and find a way to educate people that there's a difference between Mandingo and Muslim. And Muslim men and Mandingo men have the same right that a Gola man and a Pele man has. You understand? So when people start to say those things to discourage people and propaganda comes out, you have to go against it and take it head on.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you very much.
But let me tell you, wait, now, is he a Bandi man with a name Mame?
Mr. Mame.
I don't go there, man. I beg you.
Let me close my go.
Will you be willing to come on so we can discuss the topic?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. I'm going to call you after the show.
Okay.
Excellent.
Mr. Give me quickly, I got to go.
Yeah. Go ahead. You are foreigner, you can go across the border. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me hurry up so I can go to Sierra Leone. Let me just add to what Mame just said. You know what small room? The guy is to call Mandingo door. Not far from the Mandingo grade out. They were Bandi and they were Vi. I tell them, and I don't know how that thing came in my mouth. I said, anyway, Mandingo may die, you will die there. They said, my friend, Mandingo door. They thought they were joking. Nothing key. When they killed me, kill one Mandingo, kill one Bandi. He killed one Vi. I said,
So when the whole war in 1990, when Lord Rebel walking, the Bani people, the Bani people, they all joined the you join, they will sit down there. As far as the government concerned, all of them are going to appear. Anyway, and the same thing, mom is suffering from now. But here's what I would say. I will leave this topic just by suggesting something. I hope I'm clear enough, since my internet is shaking.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, good. So,
We can hear you too clear.
so I'd like to suggest this to our government. We're complaining about money, but we'll keep on expending government. Let's cut government down. We can cut government down drastically. Some of the agencies that we organize, they're not needed because we have judiciary system. If you have something like Good Governance Commission, what the hell is that? Get that thing out of there. Tell those people to find something to do, and they're professionals. National Investment Commission. You got the Ministry of Commerce. If you got not an investment expert, you create a department at the Ministry of Commerce, put 1 or 2 people there. You don't need to have 200 employees in that area. Things like people reviewing concession. They got a whole bureau for it, the Bureau of Concession. But you have the lawmakers that have to go through these things. They have the expertise in their committees, and they have to pass these things into law, and the president have to sign these things. Meanwhile, the president have economic advisors and all of these things in his office to look at these same things. You know, Minister of Information, what the hell is that? We're not in the Cold War. We don't need Ministry of Information. You go to the Ministry of Finance, you get the Department for Communication. You go to every ministry, they got Department of Communication. What are you doing with the Ministry of Information? Liberian News Agency can issue licenses to other people who want to have a news media.
The Ministry of Information is to cause Marcos. You realize this yet?
No. You're doing politics. You're doing politics. You're doing politics. I'm doing solution here. Mr. Nangu, let me close. You do your politics. Let me do solution here. Okay? Some of these, okay, you know what? You're right. So I leave it right there. Let me just leave the rest in my stomach. Tell them what they say.
No, come on. Go ahead. Come on, land, so we can go.
I should go ahead. Okay. So, but quick, this is my very first time interacting with you. I saw you and Prince Johnson shoot a single barrel during the election, and then I'm glad you came up fine. I thought General Prince Johnson would have won, but it seems like you won the single barrel war. So congratulations. I mean, you lose this time in the election, but I know next time, hopefully, Prince Johnson going now. You ain't got no obstacle again. But good meeting you, man.
Thank you.
Single barrel war.
Yeah. Mr. Taiwo.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, I keep hearing this stuff about one group is being discriminated against versus the other group. Why those things happen here and there? In the political system that you have, it is designed for that. So, because let us get this, man. If look at Liberia before the whole political system went rogue, the way it is now. The Mandingo men living in Grand Bassa, their whole family living in Grand Cru or in Sano, nobody bothered them. We only talk about it, tribal discrimination when it comes to the political functions, right? That is when it really comes out. It's like, oh, I was trying to run here to say, oh, Mandingo man, I was trying to contest this. That is what it does. It means you are a minority actually in that group. You are not able to muster the full. So you expect that because you cry out, oh, I'm a boss of man, I'm trying to win in Nima, so then Nima people should give you vote? No. They're going to go with the people that they feel comfortable with. And the way that it is to drive that wedge to show the difference between you and them. And if tribal line is the common thing that is used. So if the Mandingo men have the numbers in Nimba, if they want to run in Complet, they will run there, and if they can win, they win. And if they think that their opponent can point out, how many Bandi people have you seen serving in a government, winning in a position? How many Mende people?
Augusta Gafuan.
We're talking about contesting the wrong, not talking about serving in a position appointed. because this stuff is always a long election. And I keep telling y'all that the political system is divisive. So it's going to find every little cracks to exploit. And that is what it does. You're in the same country where the people own the system that you're using. You see it. So when we want to use a political system that is actually, I would say that is fragile like this and divisive, and then you want to use that to project. If I see a Mandingo man and his family living in Grand Gide, and the Crown people trying to kill him because he's Mandingo, then we'll point that out as discrimination. If we see a crewman live in Grand Bassa doing his stuff and working and running his business, and the Bassa, but we shouldn't take this political system stuff and then point that out as some kind of metric. That is what it does. If you don't have the number in that area, if you're a minority, you're not going to expect for them to give you numbers for you to win. So let us actually clarify this so we don't create the confusion. Because within the African setting in Liberia, we don't have this problem. We live amongst each other. We interact with each other. While we make jokes here and there, yes, but it's not to this national level. It's only
let me just interject a little bit.
Go ahead.
So no. Let me land.
Okay, go ahead.
And they say that you are Mandingo man, and then so they don't want to vote for you. It means you don't have the number. Okay, but look, this is what I would say finally. When we come on these platforms, we come here as Africans, irrespective of whatever citizenship we hold or alliance we hold in any other country or nation or people. The reason we come here is to say us as the African race in the world or in Liberia, in Africa, and then based in the country called Liberia, we have a problem. We are competing against other people, and we are losing, and we are struggling. The goal is to come here, point out the weaknesses of those other people, point out their intrusion within our rank, finding solutions and ways to defeat them so that the generations unborn can survive. We don't come here for us to elevate anyone else's interest above the interest of the African people. I say this because each time we come here, because if we can't establish a common basis, we come here, we want to, oh, look at the Chinese people. Yeah, me, I hold this other citizenship and this. So when you mention the Chinese people, somebody who feel that they have some Chinese sympathy want to jump on you. If you mention the American or the European, somebody, no, we come here to represent the interests of African people.
Thank you.
Let us establish this. Please, let us establish this. It is from the position that we discuss and we debate. Let this be it.
No, we're not taking American slander. I live in America.
Mr. Tao, that's not in dispute. You just heard somebody on the very platform.
Let the man land. Okay, thank you. You can't do that.
Wait,
go ahead. You are speaking for 4.5 minutes. Go ahead and land.
Yeah, but Mr. Tao makes plenty too long. We're gonna put
that's what we're saying. So we can't tell them that his thing, and that is why I'm saying us in the diaspora, since our loyalty is more somewhere else, we should not be involved in leading government because we are not able to tell people that his thing, because what is going to make Liberia free, we have to tell whoever here will sit on to say his thing because you're responsible, you influencing our system and it's failing.
Thank you. On you're gonna close on everything, so we're coming. Okay. Dukle, 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, this is a very sensitive topic, and Mr. Tao, I get your point, but you can see very well on this very platform we are sitting right now, there were people saying Hassan Ouattara is not an Ivorian. Just to give you an example, so that statement is something that people who created the system, to create this chaos, that was what they were perpetrating, and now you see others are catching on to it, and so it's an African disease. Whatever we do it within the context of our tribe and all that, and so we can't deny that it exists, and in our home country, as much as some people would try to make it sound like it doesn't exist. It does exist, and is well and alive, and it's not only limited to Liberia. It's an African disease, we need to try our best to cure it within our system. And coming back to our sister Fatima, like I said, I'm going back to my original point. I blame the government for nominating her for that position, that she was clearly not in a position to serve that position in that particular capacity as a deputy minister for urban development and all that. But again, it goes back to how these things are done in our country. And so it's just the continuation of what we know of this rescue government. Coming to the Ivorian problem, once again, look, you cannot ignore the Ivorian crisis, but you have to remember everything that Mr. Koima had just spoken about today. All of those elements that led to where they are today, we have all those elements in our country. And one of the entrenching things that really exacerbated the situation in Gbagbo was that after his term expired, he refused to call for an election. He was there for almost 10 years after his term was over. The presidential term was 5 years. And so he did it. Hassan Ouattara came, and when Gon Coulibaly died. Gon Coulibaly was his handpicked successor. When Gon Coulibaly died, he changed his mind. So, one of the things I was discussing with my Ivorian friends here when that situation occurred, I said, Ivory Coast doesn't belong to Hassan Ouattara. Because Gon Coulibaly died doesn't mean he has to stand for re-election. But again, because, look, I will tell you the essence of it. The French people have signed all these contracts with him. They know that anybody comes after him, they're going to cancel all those contracts. They want to come. There is this favor of Africanism that is raging in the region, and the French people know very well that whoever comes after Hassan Ouattara is not going to be in favor of the French, or the contract Hassan Ouattara signed are going to be all canceled. And so they are doing all they can to make sure that they protect their men in power, so that their interests can remain as it is. The same thing in Cameroon. That's the only reason why the French people don't want to relinquish. They don't want to let Mr. Biya relinquish power, because they know very well. And there are good signs coming out of Cameroon, because I was watching the Cameroonian television. One of the general said that our oath that we took is to the Constitution. We're not going to be part of the internal political dynamics. We are there to protect the nation and the Constitution. So the signs coming out from the military is very promising. It's very encouraging. So we need to make sure that we deal with all these issues. They are there, and pretending that they don't exist. What Mami just told us now is an example. I experienced the same thing in Egypt, of all places. In Egypt, when the president of the Liberian Association, who was there, was a white guy, and I was running to be the president, and they told me clearly they're not going to vote for me because of my tribe, because of where I belong. So this thing, we need to talk about it. We can't sidestep it. It exists, and it's well and alive. Look, Brother Koimba touched on something that when he said that what is it? Prince Johnson was a pathological liar. He was, and I remember the main reason. The 6th Infantry Battalion of the Armed Forces of Liberia was based in Tubmanburg, Bomi County. Prince Johnson was the commander of that unit, and it was time to pay them. He took their salary, and he went and created some phony accident. He said the money got lost. That was the reason that was one of the main reasons that sparked the confusion between Samuel Doe and Prince Johnson, and he ran away. So, look, Mr. Koimba, we are proud of your father. We are proud of you as a citizen. Keep your heads up, and the model that you've just exhibited here, continue. If it doesn't work this time, next time it might work. And the fact that you are bringing yourself to open up yourself to everybody, irrespective of tribe or whatever, that's the attitude. That's the model we need in our country right now. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Booty. You got to go.
And Ben got to go almost 28 minutes ago, but yeah,
it's all right.
You guys don't, and that's the bias we talk about, because you guys are in the afternoon and I'm almost close to midnight. I don't care. Let's keep going with it. Anyway,
sorry, Dr. Booty. That you and Go talk that one. That you and Go talk that
everyone listen. No. It's been a great show. Yeah, it's been a great show. I think Mr. Kwangba touched on the issue with the lady who's been appointed, and basically she went there ill prepared because she had this chip on her shoulder, believing, oh man, these people are the ones who put my name on the list, so I would just pass. I didn't even need to prepare. I just go there because and unfortunately for her, some of the senators who didn't participate in that started to point out her weaknesses. And I think, look, she should humble herself, go back, apologize, go prepared, and demonstrate to the senators that she deserved to be confirmed. I think on the issue of Ivory Coast, look, Mr. Dukley talked about, and I do respect Mr. Dukley, but I'm going to disagree with him that when it comes to biases, it's an African thing. No, it's not. It's a human thing. Every part of the world you go, every one of us have biases, all of us. And like Mr. Tao said, the system that we have and the puppet masters that we listen to are the ones that amplify the differences between us for their own gains, right? When the Americans wanted Firestone to take over all of our land, they came there and started to point out the differences between the indigenous and the American Liberians and our people. Even in the Firestone plantation, they started to point out the differences between the Pele and the Basso. And so there are greater forces at play that we need to, and that's why you don't want to be saying Pan-Africanism too much because the title will keep coming here. But look, I think the situation in Ivory Coast, like you said, is a Liberian situation because we mirror these things, but it's a situation all over the world. And how we deal with it is a question that we will continue to try to answer. I want to say, Mr. Kwongba, I appreciate the fact that there's not many politicians in Liberia run a campaign and lose.
Hello.
And go back and go and tell people thank you for even considering me. If they didn't vote for you, but then you say I went tell thank you for considering me.
No,
And that is commendable. I hope that you will consider running again at some point. And those of us who around here can maybe lend our support in whatever way we can. It was great having you on the show today, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. So yeah, great guys, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Honorable Namwe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuompa. It was nice having you here. I gotta say, I was in high school when your dad came along with the other guys, but I have always been an admirer of the family. And tonight, you made us proud again with your presentation, especially your knowledge of the sub-region. I mean, I was in the Ivory Coast during the war, but I was only there for like a year. I can't even remember some of the stuff that, so thank you very much for your education. I also heard your comment in the press lamenting the lack of vision and support by your leadership from NIMBA, especially the Legislative Caucus, in the lack of support to the run by Musa Bility, who is my political leader of the CMC, when he tried to run for speaker. You thought a speaker and a vice president coming out of NIMBA would have reinforced. NIMBA can absolutely agree with you. I don't understand that, but we will do the best we can. And that would segue me into the Mandingo and Muslim thing, and I look, I've said it and I'll say it again. For 179 years now, those of us who call ourselves mainstream, we have tried to liberate our people, to rule our country. And what have we produced? I mean, look around us. I don't need to answer that. For almost 200 years, we have been the preferred class to rule that country. What have we done? And look what Musa has done over a 2-year period. And he has great potential. And therefore, my friend Jerome always used to call himself an unabashed sedition. I would call myself an unabashed supporter of the CMC and the ideals that they continue to project. I will support the CMC. Look, I know today we came here, we thought we'd discuss what is happening in the CMC. My dear sister and younger sister, Grace Goa, has departed us, but that's a personal decision. I wish her well. I respect her a lot. She's very passionate about what she does. She's a fighter, but she had reached a point where she thought, what she championed and what she sees are diverging, and so it's a personal decision. and I respect her. We remain friends. I will support her in whatever endeavors. But having said that, it's been a great show. A lot has been said about the Internal Affairs Deputy Minister. I'm not even going to go there. But let me tell my brother Wallo here. He continues to write here all day today. I'm looking in the rearview mirror.
He said,
Who is looking in the rearview mirror? You have a 1 million.
Victor, the man said you were in Atlanta last weekend.
Asking. All right, I'll just leave it there. But it's been a great show. My Eagles are winning. My Sixers are hot. I'm a happy man. Thank you very much.
Were you in Atlanta this weekend?
Why would I be in Atlanta?
No,
Wallo should have been in Atlanta. He should have been in Atlanta.
Maybe he was there. Honorable Eastman.
Yeah, Humphrey Jabbatet commented in the. He made a comment, and I forgot one of the nominations or the interviews carried out by the CDC. This woman was being nominated for finance minister, one of the deputy assistants, and one of the senators asked her the question. He said, "What's the difference between monetary policy and fiscal policy?" The woman hollered, "Jesus!" She never answered the question. Never answered the question. So if we're not going to be serious,
Jimmy, I remember that interview.
Yeah, if we're not going to be serious about why we do certain things, then we need to revisit ourselves. That's why they make mockery of us, because they say these people are not serious about anything.
They don't mean business.
Yeah, we have to take an inward look at ourselves. Inward look. Thank you so much for gracing our panel today, Mr. Kumpa. Just what you say. I've been around Prince Johnson more than I would want to admit here, and he was an incredible person. And I used to see people hanging around, and I didn't understand why, because that guy could change in a heartbeat. So, but don't let that dissuade you. It could have been just pure jealousy, because I know how loyal he was to Tom. Yeah, I've been privy to some conversations, and I know from way back in 1985, he was there with him in the trenches. So, yeah. Other than that, we do have a problem. If we allow it, there's nothing wrong with our differences. We need differences. This is what we bring different things to the table. It is healthy, but discrimination because of it, or denying somebody their rights, or negatively refer to somebody simply because of the way they were born, that is when it turns bad. So it is another maturity we have to look at. But it will require that even in the corner, when we're talking to our friends and family, we're not doing the same thing. You see, we need to be of integrity. Just how we come to the public in with our faces, that's how we must be in our hearts. That's how we begin to change, and we don't support it. But so I'm going to keep it short because we've been here long, and I hope you come back. We got more questions for you, man. All right.
Excellent. Honorable Kwokwa, I know you're going to do this tour, and it costs money. I know you're not asking for money, but we know it's going to cost money. If you are wealthy, that's fine. But I would at some point when you come back, let's do a little fundraiser, get your number out. I'm going to make my contribution, because the model that you are setting is the reason why I follow Musa Ability. It's a new model where folks can come and say, you know what? You didn't like me. For some reason, I can't tell the difference between who voted for me and who didn't. But if you did fine, if you didn't, still fine. Thank you for allowing me to be in the space. That is a new politics that we need to introduce. We all need to support it. Your closing.
Thank you. So it was a pleasure being on here today, talking to everybody. My brother Fidel, nice chatting with you today. to the brother who's in the chat room, very actively involved as well, Sam Wallow. Hope this exercise has been good. It's been good for all of us to learn. All right. It's not a good thing to be in a region and know little about what's happening around you, because what's happening around you has an impact on what you eat, what you drink, where you go, and all that. So it's important to understand what's happening around you. And to Brother Jerome, I want to thank you for this show. And so, Brother Tao was talking about, old tribalism, tribe issue is part of our system. But that is one of the reasons why we are where we are. The Constitution speaks against nepotism. That's a specific reason why we should not be nepotistic in our dealings, especially in public service. All right. And so when the issue of competence and qualification is put aside, and the issue of tribe becomes the reasoning behind individuals being elected to represent our country, people being appointed to serve as executive, then you have a problem. The issue Brother Nangwe talked about with honorability, there are a certain group of people from Nimba County today who's talking about Nimba unity and Nimba progress and all that. But on the scene hand, they were very happy when almost all of the lawmakers from Nimba County decided to not support a son of Nimba County in honorability. So the question that I asked, where was Nimba unity? If we're saying Nimba unity, one of us in honorability was going for the speakership of the legislature, but all of our lawmakers except I think Tai Wongwe, all of them were issuing public statements all around denouncing, Musa and why they would not support him. But the very people that did that to a son of Nimba County coming by and saying we should do Nimba unity. So I say that's hypocrisy in the highest level.
Yep.
And when you have such a mentality, then you're not honest with the issue of reconciliation. That's what I said that Mr. Nangwe alluded to. And for me, I don't support somebody because he comes from my hometown or he speaks the same dialect that I speak. I support people on the basis of their ideology. What value do they bring to public service? What has been that person's contribution over time to our country? Those are the things that I look at to consider somebody. All right? I'm not, despite all the things that happen, like I've always said to people, I never hated Senator Johnson. I respected him very much. Everything Senator Johnson asked of me to do, I did. But when it came time to make a national decision, I had to think of not just myself, but generations after me. People don't make political decisions overnight. You have to think about it. You have to think about all the consequences. And I felt he didn't do it in 2023. And I decided I was not going to go the way he went. And he opted to go against me for that. But that's okay. That's there. Our Papa, water on the bridge. He passed away. We all mourn his passing. And we all play whatever role we had to play to honor him. That's it. But Liberia and the government of Liberia today, tomorrow, and the foreseeable future need to prioritize one thing: job creation. The only reason we have all the noise we have in Liberia today is because government has become the only source of survival, the only means of income. There is no way you will have a thriving society when that situation is what it is. That's why I say, patriotic Liberian.
Is that Ducle? Can everybody mute, please? There you go. I know it was that Canadian. Yeah, go ahead.
That's what I say. We all must put our hands on deck, give advice where sought, proper solutions, all aimed at creating an environment where young people in that country can wake up in the morning and know that they have something to look forward to. If you look at Liberia today, Mr. Gilman, everybody running to politics because politics is the way to make it, is the way to find daily bread for you and your family. You cannot have a successful society like that. So the government today, tomorrow, and in the future need to prioritize just job creation. Trust me, like those of us in the West or in the diaspora, when you get your 8, 9, 10 hours to go run in a day, when PPP watching, Papa watching get program, you abandon your work to go to that program when you know you're supposed to pay your bill in 3, 4 days? You will not. People are less busy in Liberia. Young children who should be thinking about being engineers, doctors, this one, that one, as from 11, 12th grade, the only thing that want about politics. Because why? Public service has now become the medium through which people become millionaires, when in fact it should be the opposite. Young people see somebody who was not even having 100, 200 in their account yesterday morning. Today he's in public service. They may get 50, 60,000 in less than 6, 7, 8 months, 1 year. That alone tells the young people that, listen, all that thing you're doing about school, all that thing that waste of time, going to politics, go learn how to curse some baby people, get your popularity you need, win seat, and what? Of course, Liberia has become a society where to insult reputable people in the country buys you popularity. That's why some people now got a platform to only insult people. You have a society where, like you were saying about the folks that at the Ministry of Information, Jeremy Pierre, an older brother of mine that I know very much, but his posture surprises me a lot when I hear it these days. I never knew him to be like that. The whole thing of insulting leaders in our country needs to stop. Doesn't show any form of decency on our part as Liberian people. And so some of us will be around. Some of us will try to be involved as much as we can. If the opportunity comes where our people will entrust us with leadership, we will gladly accept and perform the way we need to for the sake of our country. But until a government begins to look at serious drug creation in Liberia, at the time you get in power, after 6 months, you get unpopular in the country. And so today, the reason you see the former president pulling crowd left and right, most of those people are people who felt within 4 or 5 months of the coming in of this administration, they would have a job, they would have been better off, but the situation is the opposite, and so they are frustrated and they're going away from the government. So President Bouaka and your team, all the other things that you're doing, I'm not saying they're not correct, but job creation got to be on top of everything. And on that note, I want to appreciate all of you people. Looking forward to coming here again and interacting with you people. The situation in Ivory Coast, we'll hope and pray that President Ouattara, after he's inaugurated, because eventually that's what's going to happen, can use this next 5 years to properly reconcile Ivory Coast by introducing a government of national unity to bring on board sons and daughters of the entirety of Ivory Coast so that they chart the course of proper reconciliation, because Ivory Coast is the melting pot for us in West Africa. I was thinking about being in Ivory Coast in December for the Christmas this year, but I had to cancel my ticket. So I want to thank you people.
Thank you. According to the chief here, Kuwampa say the government is the magnet for job. There's no job, and that's true. Where the people are idle, the idle mind is the devil's workshop, they say. And if you hear the misquote of the great John Dillinger, when he went to court, the judge asked him, why you always rob the bank? He said, because they're where the money is. So you don't have to have a law degree to figure that out. So if you went to Liberia, you want to look for a job, you want to get rich quick. Where if you were a judge and you were asking a young man, if you want to get rich quick, where will you go? He will tell you the government of Liberia. And you ask him where, he said that's the only job in town. That's it. That is it. The forthcoming, they talk about transparency, accountability, rule of law. I love those three things. Everybody says it until they get there. Accountability, rule of law. And they get there, and all that out the window. So we thank you very much, Honorable Kuwampa. Please come back. I think some of us would love to contribute to what you are doing. That is the message we need to contribute to those who are going out there trying to bring us together, trying to break down some barriers so we can get some good men and women there to do the job. Until then, we say thank you very much, guys. I think there's hour 5th usually come on by 7 o'clock. Hopefully it's on this week so we can learn a little thing about the different faiths around the world, how they affect us. Until then, there's a Jimmy Eastman. We are all Liberia.
Liberia is our